Alhamdulillah wa ba'd. We say Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. We welcome you, our esteemed and valued listeners and viewers, once again to new edition of our program, Muslim State Affairs. And as well, we welcome our Ustadh once again by saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It is no longer a news that the Sokoto incident has been greeted with many reactions as well as reprisal killings. Most especially the one under our purview today, under our periscope, which is Harira's assassination, causes and effects. Ustadh, what could you say have resulted to the gruesome killings of Harira and her entire family?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah bi nasta'in wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. After having thanked Allah for his non-stop mercies on us all, and after having besought his increase of manifold of blessings upon Muhammad and his household, we say that we are much happier to be back here to discuss one of the numerous challenges that greet us as a people, as Nigerians, and that is an area you've gone into, wanting to dig deeper into the possible causes of Harira's assassination. I will first say that may such gruesome killing of her whole family not result in reprisals. That is my first prayer. Okay. Because the ways and manners in which the people of the region where Harira and 4 children had been gruesomely murdered go about chanting war songs through their dispositions, such ways and manners are funny, and if they are not curtailed in the harness, may snowball into a catastrophe that we may not be able to handle as a people, and we pray that shouldn't befall us this time around. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't dissipate much time wanting to situate the cause or the causes around the gruesome assassination of that woman and her children. I would say that some people whom we can describe rather as disgruntled elements who do not want anything good from the Nigerian state. People who do not know what exactly they are struggling for. They do not have the heart of certainty of why they do certain things they do. These people are the ones that took life away from Harira and her children. And it wasn't because Harira had done something wrong. It wasn't because Harira had committed a heinous crime. Neither was it because Harira had a family in the southeastern part of Nigeria that had committed a crime whose revenge was being meted out on her. So the causes are just that she was killed just because she was a northerner. That is the way I can put it. Okay. Because the people who killed her could not lay claim to the fact that somebody in the north, Sokoto to be precise, was mobbed over by miscreants who did not represent Islam in what they did. So they couldn't say because somebody was killed in Sokoto and Harira must go for what those miscreants did. So there wasn't any cause for having had to terminate her life and the lives of her children.
Okay, Ustadh, could that be tagged a reprisal killing? Because if at all it's going to be a reprisal, I think it wouldn't have been just a family.
But does a right-thinking Nigerian consider that as a reprisal? Should that be a reprisal killing to a right-thinking Nigerian? Because the incident that occurred in Sokoto prior to the incident in Anambra had been criticized by people who understand what Islam really means. And we, on our part, have come out to the open to dissociate from what these miscreants in Sokoto did in the name of Islam. Because one thing people do not seem to realize, especially non-Muslims in this part of the world, is that whenever a Muslim by name commits a crime, detach Islam from the crime such a Muslim has committed. Treat the crime the way it is expected to be treated, and give Islam the say it is expected to be given in resolving the crime that may the archives for those who care to know. Before the Nigerian Civil War, precisely in the late 40s towards the early 50s, there were a number of Igbo Muslim communities alongside Ulo, Anambra, Enugu, and Imo. Igbo people who are Muslims by choice, who had embraced Islam by choice, who had got interested in the teachings of Islam by choice. They were the first victims of the attacks, are you following, meted out by those who are championing a Biafran republic. At the first part of attacks that were meted out onto northerners in the southern parts of Nigeria, it is in the archives.
Okay. What is there any conduct? Is there any connection between the civil war, the Biafran war, and killing the Igbo Muslims? There shouldn't have anything.
Thank you for the question. That is why we tell people that whatever you want to say, tell others about me, should be nothing other than the truth that I epitomize. The moment you begin to tell people whom I'm not, the moment you begin to tell people what I've never committed as crimes, you are beginning to kill me gradually. So that is the similitude of what I had earlier said. The anti-Islamic forces are banned in the southeastern part of Nigeria. The anti-Sharia forces are banned in the southeastern part of, as they are banned here in the southwestern part of Nigeria. People do not, in most cases, have the luxury of the grace to distinguish between what is cultural in another part of Nigeria and what is purely Islamic. The anti-Sharia forces will always allude to the fact that by 1800, that is what they say, and that is one of the lies they spread across. One thing that baffles one the most is the fact that they take those lies across the religious pulpits, both in the southeastern part of Nigeria and in the southwestern part of Nigeria. It is on the pulpits of several religious centers that those lies are marketed and remarketed. And see, people will just open their mouths, listening to those lies without an attempt to critique the very basis of the lies that are being spread onto them. Islam will never tell you that anytime it enters your city, you must accept that Islam by fire, by force. That is never written anywhere in Islam. And say, we know we are here. So whatever we say here may stands to be questioned by people who think they know much better than we do. I could remember in the 6th century of the Christian era. See, my problem with several Nigerian public analysts, so to say, is that they usually come on here to foist on people their abstractions that may be different, that may be distant from the abstractions, we call it epistemological abstractions of the people to whom those ideas have been sold. In the 6th century of the Christian era, the Prophet ﷺ deployed Hatib bin Balta'a to Egypt. When he got to Egypt, he met the ruling dynasty, the ruling pharaonic dynasty in Egypt, Al-Muqawqis. And Al-Muqawqis was a bit afraid that these people, these Arabs, as they had been maligned before his coming to Egypt, that they will always take your land and whatever you have. He said, he told Hatib that I'm afraid that you are coming here, you Muslims. And Hatib told him one thing that is eternally relevant in the archives in the annals of the world, so to say, in the annals of the religions of the world. He says, Nano la nanahaka and dinil masay. We are not going, we Muslims are not going to take you away from the religion of Christ. Inama na'muruka bihi. What we have been instructed to do is to make sure that you practice that religion without anybody disturbing you. And that is what you see playing out in several Arab nations, Islamic nations today.
Christians have been allowed to
there are several Christians in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia working, plying their trade there. Have they ever come back to Nigeria and complained that at a point in time
you have been harassed?
They have been harassed and that they have been threatened that should they not repudiate Christianity, they will not, remain alive again. No. They've never done that.
They've never had enough.
They've never. The first time the Boko Haram insurgents struck in 2009 was the time the only mosque after you might have descended from the River Niger Bridge in Anambra, before you get to Opiwika, there was a mosque, or there had been a mosque before the 2009. Once those Boko Haram miscreants struck in Borno, the first port of call of our southeastern counterpart brothers was to raise the mosque down. It took the intervention of our Creator to have prevented the lives of the few Hausa worshippers that were met in that mosque, 2009. Here we are in Nigeria, I following. Whenever a particular problem befalls a Muslim, whenever a Muslim runs into a problem, runs into a quagmire, people will keep silent. Do you know why we are saying what we are saying? We have sensed a conspiracy of silence over the gruesome murder, assassination of Harira, Jibril and her children. That
would have been my second question.
Okay, don't let me preempt you then.
Because it's quite disturbing and disheartening that the intensity of uproars, that glittered social media when that of Sokoto incident happened, did not repeat itself. When many lives, if there is anything to go about counting, even if a life is lost, it's still alive. You understand? So what I'm trying to say in essence is that only have we seen a non-Muslim and some Muslims who are sympathizers, who are the time criers. Thank you. They didn't come out. You understand? They didn't come out to display the same, sympathy, empathy,
intensity of reaction.
Thank you. They are displayed. So what could have resulted in this? And many of them are Muslims.
Those things do go with certain motivations.
Okay.
And before me here, I will posit 3 factors.
One,
that do account for why we've not seen the same intensity of reactions that greeted the gruesome, killing of Deborah Salman in the case of Harira Jibril in Anambra.
It is never replicated.
Those things are simple. One, the fact that those who had come out to react, to vent their angers over the fact that Deborah Salman had been gruesomely killed, I did so because the unexpected in the expected quarter had happened. The unexpected in the expected quarters had happened. They had wanted these northern people to go into their usual mistake of overeating their polity themselves. That was what first happened. Secondly, the unexpected had happened in the north, and we are telling those Muslims this time around and their counterparts from among the non-Muslims who had overreacted that Islam has provisions for everything. We make bold to say here that should those at the ends of affairs in Sokoto, be sincere enough to trail down the killers of Deborah Samuel. Islam, the religion that most mortals in this world hate with passion, says that should those people be apprehended, they should all be killed. That is the position of Islam. Whether in Sokoto or elsewhere, in the kingdom of Saudi Arabia as we speak, Maya, if somebody commits a crime that necessitates his being killed as a punishment for the crime he may have committed, the government of Saudi Arabia would first institute a 3-man panel to look into the case. If the findings of the 3-man panel point to the fact that the person, the culprit rather, deserves to be killed, another 7-man panel shall be constituted. The findings of the 7-man panel, if the findings go in line in tandem with the findings of the initial 3-man panel, another 5-man panel, another 7-man panel will follow. Then the last stage is 13-man panel.
The first one will be
3, 5, 7, 13, because they know in a soul, sanctity of a soul, and that is the message of Muhammad. This prophet that you speak ill against all the time.
Every possible opportunity.
This is the position of Muhammad. When he got to Medina, it wasn't because he was powerless. He knew that he had been powerful by the time he became the generalissimo in Medina. He had every power. He had every power to do and undo. What did he tell the retinue of companions in Medina? He said, in Bani Aufin, the Jews of the Jewry from the family of Banu Auf,
yes,
Ummatun are a religious people.
Allah.
In Bani Nadir, the Jewry from the family of Nadir, Ummatun are a religious people. La dinuhum, they shall be practicing their religion. Walil Muslimina dinuhum, and the Muslims in Medina shall be practicing their religion. Nobody will interfere with whatever they call their religious liturgies. And it was on that note that whenever anything happened between a Muslim and a Jew in Medina, the case will be reported to Muhammad Sallallahu, and he will preside. He would preside. It is this same Muhammad that said that man qatala mu'ahida. That is in view of the case of Deborah Samuel. Man qatala mu'ahida. Who amongst you Muslims, whoever amongst you Muslims kills a Christian, our attitude in Nigeria is nauseating.
That lives in a pure Islamic state.
Man qatala mu'ahida, whoever amongst you Muslims kills a Christian that lives under an Islamic government. Are you following?
Exactly.
The Prophet says, Lam yaruh rahiyat al-jannah. That Muslim shall never perceive the odor of al-jannah, paradise.
Okay, now, Ustadh.
That has I'm on the second factor that necessitated the absence of reactions on the case of Harira. Harira. The expected had happened. The expected had happened.
I see the deceased.
Deserve the death penalty that was meted out onto her and onto her children.
That is why it is considered as normalcy.
It is never normal. As we speak, the spate of the killings in the southeastern part of Nigeria is alarming. But those who are intellectual hypocrites have remained to hibernate, because as we speak, the expected, is happening. In the case of Harira, the expected that happened. They had expected that at every point in time there must be a localized problem that will help decimate the ever-increasing population of Northern. I'm never in Northern,
Exactly.
I'm an Ibadan boy. Exactly. But the fact that I'm here shouldn't prevent me from saying the truth as I've seen it. We are not helping the future of this country if we continue, behaving the manners we behave. Because
of the time constraints, you are to give us the 3 factors you mentioned.
The second one, exactly. I was on the third one. Okay. I was saying the expected that happened, Maya.
Okay.
In 2018, December 2012, we were all in Nigeria when a crisis broke out in Jos.
Yes.
Are you following?
Malam Abdullah.
The crisis broke out in Jos, and we had an imam. Are you following?
Exactly.
The imam, before the outbreak of the crisis, had never stood on his pulpit, are you following, to preach against Christianity and against Christians.
He has never.
And on that fateful day, he used his mosque, as the rescue point for over 300 Christians in Jos. No single professor here said the word. No single public analyst here said the word. No single Christian, pastor, no single Christian bishop here in Nigeria, especially in the southwestern part and the southeastern part of Nigeria, said the word to commend the courageous overture of the Imam, because he had been courageous, because he never felt the panic that he might end up being killed, because he knew the intensity that greeted those that followed those who had wanted to kill those Christians, and he used his own life as a bait. Nobody praised, nobody hero worshiped this man, because what he did was into the wrong corner. They had wanted those 300 Christians to be killed so that they would blow the whole thing beyond all known proportions.
Ustadh,
it's a problem. It's a problem. It is a problem.
We actually waited up until this time for this topic to be discussed.
You will never.
Secret to a particular reason.
Maya.
Sir, please, secret to a particular reason. The government, the sitting government of the state, in where this heartbreaking incident happened, at the first instance denied it.
Mr. Maya.
The Soludo-led government said nothing of such happened in their state.
Mr. Maya, if the sitting governor in question, whose name you've mentioned, didn't do what he did, would have concluded that he is a bastardized son of the southeastern parts of Nigeria. That is what they do. I'm on here. That is what they do. Don't forget, and it is in the archives as well, that the anti-northern sentiments, the anti-Sharia sentiments, and the anti-Islamic sentiments that served as the precursor to the first school in Nigeria began in this manner. It began in this manner. I do not know, and I don't want to know, the sins that Islam or being a Muslim has ever committed. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. So it is here in Nigeria you will see an Ikpeazu dining and whining with a Fulani Atiku. Then it isn't a religious confrontation. It is here in Nigeria you will see an Amechi dining and whining with El-Rufai, a Fulani El-Rufai. Nothing is wrong there.
When it comes to politics,
they bring this religious garment as a cover for what they have in their mind. This is hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. The same thing that led to the problem here in Ibadan, in Shasa, in Gangan to be precise, which later metamorphosed into the crisis that broke out in Shasa. Don't forget, it was the case in Gangan that struck, and served as the recipe for the crisis in Shasa. It is because we've been brainwashed to think that a typical northerner is a potential criminal.
Ustadh, up until the moment, nobody has been arrested. Unlike what happened in Sokoto, many arrests have been made. I strongly believe that some people have been arrested, even been arraigned before court.
Do you mean in Sokoto?
In Sokoto, I'm sorry.
That is still ongoing anyway.
It's still ongoing, yeah. But nothing of such has reciprocated itself in Anambra. What do you see, as a cause?
Mr. Maya, don't let us perspire over a problem whose solution is not far-fetched.
Okay.
And the problem is this: there may not be any arrest in the southeastern part of Nigeria.
Why?
It is because
it is what is source for the goose must also be source for the gander.
There may not be any arrest. You see, this is a region where 2 Nigerian soldiers had been killed and beheaded, and nothing happened thereafter.
Okay,
two uniformed men, as we speak, a number of Anambra Broadcasting Corporation are beheading hostage as we speak. And the news flash for today actually reads that they've not got the instruction to kill them. That is why they've not killed them.
Are those own innocents? Are they Igbos or full?
I'm speaking of what is at the moment raging in the same southeastern part of Nigeria. So for you to think that there may be arrest, as regards the gruesome murder of Harira Jibril, I will say we are daydreaming. I will say we are daydreaming. If you have grudges, yes, against the political permutations in Nigeria, don't vent your grudges via religious contours.
No,
your grudges are political and have always been political. Vent those grudges via political channels. Because I couldn't just comprehend the single sin that this woman in question might have committed. I've not fathomed it.
Ustadh, I still have another question.
That
the question is, when you are rolling out the three factors, if there had been a reprisal killing in any other part of the country, what do you think would have been our disposition?
Mr. Maya, may that not be our portion as we speak in Nigeria. There shall never be reprisals. There shall never be reprisals. I just don't want to talk in that regard.
No, stop.
Because our people over there are hurt by what has been happening. There shall never be reprisals.
What is your advice to the federal government, irrespective of the location of the happening?
Okay.
Killing people every now and then is quite disheartening.
It is
quite disheartening. What is your advice to the Nigerian government? Or let me say, what is the solution, the prescribed antidote to this malady?
Okay.
What exactly?
Profiling is solution to this, as you've described it, this malady isn't a problem. But the problem that has ever underlied the solution is just one,
which is,
are we Nigerians ready to go by the dictate of the solution that we shall proffer? Are we ready? If we are ready, the solution lies in our hands.
Which is?
And it is simple. It's simple. When people went to Umar complaining about, the problems they were having with their ambassadors and ministers, Umar told them one thing. Don't forget, the leaders we are shouting on daily basis, the leaders we are criticizing on daily basis, don't forget, were put there by ourselves.
Exactly.
Umar told the people that were complaining that he says al-imam, ar-ra'iyya, the led, the masses, mu'addiyatun ila al-imam ma'adda al-imam ila Allah. Ar-ra'iyya, the masses, mu'addiyatun ila al-imam, shall showcase in their interactions with their leaders ma'adda al-imam ila Allah, what the leaders themselves showcase to our Creator. We ourselves have always voted into power devil's advocates, devil's incarnates. Those are the ones we've often voted into power. So the political game we are witnessing as we speak in Nigeria now has its script written by ourselves. So that's the first solution. Who are we going to look at the case of the southeastern part of the country that we have been discussing? Who have we voted into power? They told you, you are in the know of the fact that put the issue of Harira Jibril aside. You see, the sounds of the land in a place where you've been made a governor are dying, are being killed gruesomely, and you still behave as if nothing had ever happened. That shows us what your personality is in your closet. Okay. So the solution lies in our hands. Okay. We don't have any other system through which we can select and choose leaders other than the one we have before us. So if we are wiser, yes, if we are wiser enough to go back to the drawing boards, hopefully, and go into an impactful retrogression, how we've been doing things, and later come out with what shall be positively impactful for our lives here in Nigeria. Things will change, because the oligarchs are out there again. The oligarchs are out there again to remarket themselves.
Okay, Ustadh, before we call it a day, what exactly is expected of a conscious Muslim, most especially the very few ones who are still living in the southeastern part of the country?
That is going to be a difficult terrain. That is going to be a difficult terrain.
You and I believe that we still have some.
Yes, some are still there.
Exactly.
Some are still there. You see, my fear is simple. If we say those few ones should vacate the southeastern part of Nigeria and go back to the north, that is going to spell a bigger challenge. The challenge is, once these people vacate absolutely the southeastern part of Nigeria and come back to the north, they're thinking that we have been sent packing to our land, maybe there, and that may want to spur them into committing bigger crimes than the ones the people who had
understood.
So that is because, as we speak, you see, for those who just open their mouth and say what they don't know, for Sokoto alone, you and I know the number of churches in Sokoto.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. You and I know the number of churches in Borno. You and I know the number of churches that are there in Kaduna. We know the number of churches that are there in Kano. Yes, we know. That is why we say there shall never be reprisal. We are just being passionate in this prayer. So if those people should, that is why we will say it is incumbent on the governor and leadership of the people of the southern part of Nigeria to look into this issue, to look holistically into this issue. But should those people vacate, those northerners vacate and go back to any slightest provocation in the north may spell doom.
Ustadh, we say thank you very much for this wonderful presentation.
It has always been my pleasure to be with you.
We pray Almighty Allah to strengthen you the more.
Amen.
All you listeners and viewers, our intention over the discussion is never to bedevil any ethnic gripe.
We do not demonize.
Not at all. No, not at all. Not that we want to paint any tribe in a bad image. No, but rather for us to be kept abreast of the happenings and what should be our stand as conscious Muslims. We pray Almighty Allah spare our lives up and beyond our next meeting. Till we meet again, I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.